So, hello everyone, very good morning. Welcome to our fifth virtual workshop. I'm excited to see you all today. I see a lot of new attendees. I hope you've been keeping safe. So, if you can hear me, see me, and the slide deck that I'm currently sharing with you, please acknowledge to the chat window you see on your left. Me and Anjana are the evangelists with Zoho, and we'll also double as your host for today. And today we have Anushri, a product expert who, with her fast fingers, will be working behind the screen, providing answers to all your questions during the session. And Kritika is going to be the showstopper for today. So she's the one who will help you through the hands on session. And just like any other session, before we jump into it, I'm going to give you a few quick pointers. So make sure that you have signed into your Zoho One account. And if you're a shared user, make sure you have admin level privileges. And since it's going to be a workshop on Zoho projects, make sure that you have Zoho projects added to your Zoho One account. And if you have any questions during the session, please post them on the tab on your left that is marked questions. And if you face any audio or video issues during the session, let us know through the chat box. So it's questions in the questions tab and issues in the chat box. And please do participate in all our posts to keep these workshops lit and engaged. So just like a previous workshop, today's session is going to be focused more into the product training. I'll give you a quick introduction into Zoho One, followed by a bird's eye view at today's hands-on training. And following me, Kritika will give you an elaborate hands-on session. Finally, Anjana will wrap up this workshop with a quick recap. As you guys know, so Zoho One is a suite of 40 plus applications that can help almost every department in a business, starting with the pre-engineered sales CRM all the way to build your own Zoho creator. Zoho One is the operating system for business. Its integration and flexible customization makes it user-friendly than any of its like in the market. And today, let us see how the project management tool from Zoho can help plan and organize your day-to-day operations. As you know, the topic for today is plan, collaborate, and execute projects efficiently through Zoho One. For those of you who aren't familiar with Zoho projects, Zoho project is actually a classical project management tool that follows a waterfall model. And today's session is going to be divided into two parts. So, configure portals and profiles. Although this might seem pretty basic, these are some of the mandatory prerequisites that need to be configured before initiating a project. And we have plenty of customers who come to us with issues during creation of a project, and that's mainly because the configuration is not done right. And before you jump into creating a project, it is always good to know that what you will need for a smooth project management. And once that is done, once you're done with the configuration, you will be guided through the step-by-step process of creating a project, its milestones and tasks. And for today's workshop, let's consider an advertising agency that depends on a classic project management tool for its day-to-day operations with organized milestones and tasks. So without further ado, let me welcome Kritika, a product expert who will take you through the hands-on training session.
So before we start, with the actual workshop of the day, I would want all of you to have a look at the work hierarchy that we follow in projects. So as John rightly mentioned, projects is, a great project management tool for businesses that involve a lot of processes in place, right? So projects is 14 years old today in the market, and it's doing lovely when compared to all its competitors in the SaaS spectrum. So when it comes to effective task management, there are a lot of things that we'll have to consider, and I'm sure if you get these basics right today, it's going to be a cakewalk for you. And 70% of you are already dependent on project management, and the rest 30, I think maybe for the nature of your business, a tool is not really necessary now. Maybe you can figure out whether it would work out for you at the end of this workshop. All right. So as you can see, project is something that is visible on the work hierarchy. So that also means that that is the biggest chunk of work that someone can take and accomplish and roll out as a deliverable, in your organization with the help of this tool. So we break a project into short-term goals, and we call those goals as milestones. And a milestone is broken further into a task list. A task list is nothing but a group of similar tasks so that it's easy for you to roll them out as a bunch. And a task is obviously a task list is broken into tasks further. And if you really feel a task is something not just enough to be executed in one go, you can as well break a task into a set of subtasks. So this is the work hierarchy that you'll have to have in mind, before even onboarding your team onto this portal. All right. So this is the workflow, starting from a project until the subtasks. And as you can see, the hierarchy is revolving around tasks. So which also means, it's the effective task management that makes the project a success story, right? So with that clarity with respect to the skeletal structure of the tool, I would just take you forward to the product screen, right? So the workspace that you're currently seeing, this is called a portal. So when you sign up with Zoho projects for your organization, you would be landing on a page like this, and we call this the home page of your projects portal. So one organization with one email address can be signed up with one portal on a data center. So we call these, there are a few elements that you'll have to have in mind throughout the workshop. I would just quickly introduce you to those jargons so that we can it'll be easy for both of us to relate to terminologies in the demo. So the blue navigation bar, so we call this a top navigation band or top navigation bar. And these entities on this top navigation bar are called tabs, the home tab, feed tab, or the projects. And Nexus 1.0 is a sample project that I had created today for the demo. And when I navigate inside a project, you should be able to see a dark grayish left-hand panel, and the entities inside the left-hand panel of a project is called a module. So these are the simple terms that you'll have to have in mind. All right, so before we onboard your team or even create your first project, I would just quickly introduce to a few basic configurations that you'll have to do. All right. So navigating to the setup screen should not be confusing because, we are mostly consistent with respect to the UI of many other Zoho's products, right? So it's very much universal, like navigating to the configuration section in any of Zoho's products is pretty much easier because most of the common icons are placed much consistently on all our products. So navigate to the setup screen and get into your profile settings section under personal preferences. And this screen is pretty much straightforward. I may not have to explain much. You can just update your personal information here and a profile photo there. And then you can set a relevant color theme for your portal here. So whatever color you choose here, it's going to be the background for your portal. And the third one is setting the home page for your Zoho Projects account. For now, by default, it is the home tab. And if you're someone who checks up on the feed very often, you can just choose to have the feed tab. So as I said, when I say tab, you'll have to go and search for this. This is the home tab, this is feed, and this is projects. So for the nature of your business, whichever you feel is the tab that you would mostly seek after whenever you log in your Zoho Projects account, you can just choose that option relevantly and update the setting here. Followed by the personal preferences setting, I would like to give a glimpse on the portal configuration section. All right, so it's just taking a bit to load. Yes. So in the portal configuration section, like how you updated your personal information, this is where you'll have to update the details of your company, followed by updating a logo for your company here. And followed by this, there are a few date and time settings that you'll have to have in mind. So you can just set the relevant, date and time format that your organization follows. You can also set the first day of the week. For now, we assume you would start your week preferably on a Sunday or a Monday. And you just set the apt business hours that match your requirements, right? So whatever hours you set here would be taken into consideration whenever you schedule a task at the back end. And here you can just go and configure your working days, which also means you skip the weekends. So for example, say according to the configuration here, the tool is going to skip the business weekends of the setting. Like for example, if a task takes 12 or 17 days, roughly it spans over 2 weeks. So whatever days are selected as the weekend days of your business, that would be skipped when a task is scheduled for a user. And this is the holiday configuration section, which is pretty much the same as in CRM. So you just get to select the date and define the holiday calendar for your business. You can also manage them for over years here. And then followed by the date and time settings, you have a few task settings as well. Here you can choose to have a task prefix for your business. So it's not really possible to remember, you know, the exact task name of every project that you're managing. In that case, for example, say you are a mobile app development company and you're serving multiple clients. So you can have easily rememberable prefixes for every client. Say client A's tasks can start with the ID AX01 and BH02 respectively. So we help you do that with this option. And set the default task duration here to be days hours. And to task work hours, we help you measure tasks in three modes. One is work hours per day. So when you do that, you expect the resource to fill the timesheet on a disciplinary basis. For example, for businesses that follow a lot of processes, some extreme discipline will be needed in the completion of a specific task, because that specific task would have to be completed at least 20% that specific day, so that the next relevant or the dependent task can flow after it. In such cases, this kind of a routine or a discipline would be expected from the person who works on it or resolves it. So to help you measure such kind of task and the amount of time invested in such tasks, we have you find these three kind of modes. So one is work hours per day. The next one is work percentage per day. So you could either define the task as the exact number, like you can expect 6 hours of effort going to a task, or just 20 or 30% of effort get into a task. Or the third option, work hours, could be a little confusing. This means it is the total work hours. For example, say there could be a task that is not dependent really on any other tasks, just that, as a manager, you are really sure that a total number of 12 hours is enough for the task to be rolled out. In such cases, you can just choose to go with the total work hours option. So that is about the task work hour setting. That is something really important as well. And coming to resource allocation setting, by enabling this, you get to see the workload of a specific resource while you schedule it to them. Like, for example, say you are managing a project and I am an employee or a contractor in your project. And when you enable this resource allocation in your portal, and say, for example, in today's advertising agency task, you just create it and assign it to Kritika. When you try assigning it, my work calendar will show how busy I am on those specific dates of the task schedule. So it would either show I am overloaded, or I'm under allocated, or I'm optimally allocated. My plate is like exactly full. And this is the setting where you just choose to get an alert about tasks with associated issues. So if there are any issues, defects relevant to the task, you can be notified. And if you are not concerned about that, you can choose not to receive the notifications as well. So these are the important settings that you'll have to take into consideration. So after this, I would like you to have a quick look at the Manage Users module, right? So, yes. So we would quickly just, in a few seconds, just to, go through how the users are managed in projects. So that assume, you're already confident with how to add users and manage profiles and roles, in CRM. So the user interface is going to be 99% similar. So I'm just not going to spend much of time here. So what did I do is I just hit this navigation action menu and came down to manage users. I land here. So here you can manage your portal users, client users, and roles and profiles. And you can also see the statistics of your active and deactivated users here. And you can also have a look at how many licenses are used up and how many are remaining here. And to add a user, you can just use this option to go and add a user. So enter the email address of your user here. And I believe you have already worked on roles and profiles. So if even otherwise, we help you with that because we have got 4 default roles and 4 default profiles pre-populated in projects. So even if you've not customized your roles, that's okay. To start with, you can just use the default roles and profiles to onboard your users. So this is the place where you go and manage your project users, right? And if you want to even modify the details of one specific user, you can just go and view the person's details here. And if you do not want to associate them with any of the projects, you can uncheck. And if you're very sure that the user has to be working only on a specific project, you can just select the project here and just update the details of the person. So this is how you'll have to manage users in projects, right? And it's taking a little bit for the system to update this user. So followed by user management, I would just like to give you a quick glimpse of the role profiles. As you know, a role is the designation of a user in a company, and we do not follow any reporting hierarchy in Zoho projects. It is just what the user does in an organization. So we have got 4 roles as default roles. The other ones that you see on the screen are customized ones as part of demos that have evolved over time. So administrator, manager, employee, and consultant are the default roles. In fact, instead of consultant, it's modified. It could be contractor, right? So administrator, manager, employee, and contractor are 4 default roles. And coming to profiles, we have admin, manager, employee, and contractor as 4 default profiles. And if you see, you will not be able to delete any of the 4 default profiles. If you can see, the delete operation is not allowed. So we have restricted that for reference purposes, for your understanding, right? Because we have helped you understand how an admin profile should look. So because a profile defines what a user can do and what they cannot do. And this is where you go and add a new profile. So you can manage, the permissions of a resource here. So you can manage all the project permissions here, the module permissions here. So you can just play around with the roles and profiles here. So with that said, I think we are good to start with, the hands-on, right? So, so this is the work hierarchy for the day. And after following the preliminary settings done for the day, creating a project, right? So before we create the project, this is where you go and see the status of all the projects that are being managed in your organization. As I said, organization is nothing but the portal workspace you see here after you sign up. So you can manage all your projects. So this is the place where you have to come and see if you're in the, if you're a part of the managerial fraternity. So you get to see the status of all your projects here. And you can also go and view the projects by group or owner or even by the client you serve the project for. So we've got these 3 predefined view categories where you can just go and just choose a specific one and you can just see. So you will get to see all the SAP projects under one umbrella and all the finance projects under one umbrella and all the construction projects under one umbrella. This is just an easy way for you to, sort out the projects. And let me quickly show you how to create a project so that you can also try a hands-on by yourself. So this is the area where you go and try creating a new project for your organization. So all you need to create a project is just a name, literally. I mean it. So we do not enforce you to, fill in any other fields. As you can see, only the project's name is the mandatory field here, right? So I would just name the project like this. And please do not worry if you do not see this option called add project to Zoho Sprints, because this demo account is integrated with Zoho Sprints. And when I mention Zoho Sprints, I have to talk about what it does, right? So Sprints is again a sister product from the family of Zoho projects. It is 2 years old in the market, and it is targeted at most of the software companies, software firms that completely work on the agile mode. It's for people who love sprints, literally. And that's why we have named it Zoho Sprints. So if your portal is integrated with Zoho Sprints, you can directly add the project to that as well. That is, when you check this box, an equivalent record gets created in your Zoho Sprints account as well. Choose the owner and a relevant template for your project. A project template is an already existing structure of a project upon which you want to build your project, right? So you can choose a relevant project template here and set the schedule of a project and choose whether it is going to be a strict project or not. So when it comes to declaring a project strict, so you have to understand what it does. So there could be cases where your project is really on a time crunch and you do not want any scope creep to happen. When I say scope creep, it could be anything. It could be with respect to, using up the resources involved, in the project beyond needed, or adding more work items in the due course of the project that is going to affect the deadline of the project. Such cases will not be encouraged if you declare a project to be strict, which means, people cannot add any more work items or modify the deadline of the project. The system will throw an error. The application will not let them include a lot of work items that extend or go beyond the deadline of the project. So that is the use of making a project strict. And project overview is straightforward. You can just describe your project, give a small description there, and choose the relevant task layout for the custom fields. So if you want some customized fields other than the usual fields present in the tasks of this project, you can just go and choose the relevant layout that is mapped to this project, and choose a group for you to sort. As I already showed you, we viewed projects by group. You saw a few projects under SAP category, under the category construction, and under finance. So you can just go and choose a relevant category from this drop down and do it. So coming to tags is something that is going to help you search for this project in an easy way, right? So it's not always possible for you to remember all the project names. So for example, this is related to advertising. So you just create a tag. I have already created a tag called ad. So I'm just mapping that tag here, so that whenever you search by tags, this project will come. Not only the project, whatever entity is mapped to the tag will show in the results. So be it a milestone or be it a forum discussion related to advertising, that is going to show up there. The next is the budget section, which is also really important when you create a project. You can set the currency your project has to follow here. You can set the project budget, like that is based on 4 modes. We support 4 different modes of budgeting. One could be based on your project amount or the total number of hours invested in a project. The other could be based on the milestone amount, right? So you can set a fixed amount for a milestone and work on the milestone in such a way that it just fills that budget. And or you can work on milestone based hours, like, you can just set a milestone not to cross 100 or 200 hours and ensure that the milestone is rolled out within that scheduled time. And the billing method is related to invoicing. And one beauty about projects is that we also have an inbuilt invoicing module, except for the integration with books that is mandated for that to function. Otherwise, you need not have to depend on any third-party invoicing tools, because we have our own service to help you invoice all your projects. So this is the billing method that you can follow, and will help you do that on different modes. One is based on project hours, the other is based on staff hours. When it comes to staff hours, you can just go and map user rates for specific users, or you can go with a fixed cost, or something for based on task or issue based hours. So such kind of invoicing can also be done. All right. The next setting is the customize tabs for this project setting, where you can just go and choose to hide or expose a few tabs in the left hand panel. And I'm sure you should be able to visualize how a left hand panel looks. So I just navigated into the Nexus 1.0 project and showed you the modules on the left hand panel. So you can just manage their visibility here. And one point is that we do not let you hide the dashboard, and we want everyone to see that. So for now, you cannot, disable those two tabs. Otherwise, everything else is your choice. Like, you can just go and enable this finance module if you want to. And coming to project access, when a project is private, as the name goes, the privacy is totally maintained. Like, users who are strictly a part of this project will be able to access it or view it. But when a project is public, the users who are not a part of this project, but a part of project B, or this organization for that matter, the portal Zilker for that matter, they would be able to see this project in their feed. So when in their project listing view, this project will show up, wherein for a private project, it's not going to happen, right? With all this, you can just hit add, and your first project is all ready to start with. All right. So yes. So why did this error come? Enter valid start and end date, because I set the project to be strict. When I say strict, it is about the deadlines of a project, and I forgot to set the start and end dates for the project. So the strict project starts its work right from the beginning, right? When I choose a project to be strict, it mandates, it enforces the user to set a valid start and an end date, right? So I'm just going with a schedule here, and we should be good to create the first project. So it's taking a bit to get the project added to the portal. Yeah. So this is how a newly created project would look. This is where you can go and create a project otherwise. So we call this a shortcut. So in our team, we call this as a smart ad or a global ad, right? You can add literally anything from here, any entity from here, a task list, or an issue, or a milestone, or a timesheet, or a project for that matter. So and you also have, 2 or 3 ways to create an entity in the tool. So a few things, we understand, uh, the necessity to quickly go and do something. At times we feel that before we forget a work item, we would want an option in a tool, the interface to be that helpful, so that, it should not always enforce you to follow a set of processes or do a few clicks and then land on it. So to save a few clicks for you, we have given the smart add option, where you can go and add any entity that you want to. So the same project form will come here as well. All right. So I think with this, I'm really sure that you're confident about creating and managing your projects in this application. All right. So now, following the hierarchy, the next is milestones, right? So I've already created a sample demo account for, the advertising agency use case, where you can see a few task lists, tasks, and a few milestones created, right? So as I said, a project is the biggest chunk of work that you can do, and a milestone is nothing but a short-term goal, right? That I look forward to. It is not something that's accomplished. It is something that as a team, we would love to deliver, or we would love to accomplish. So that is something, that's a goal that is yet to be achieved. That is a milestone in projects. So for example, take the scope and estimate milestones. These are the active milestones that I've created. And when it comes, and I see a lot of you coming from the marketing and the advertising spectrum in workshop. So this insight might give you a clarity in, going about going with the flow in the tool. So any advertising process starts with, doing enough research on the scope and the estimate, studying the specs of the product, of the current strategies used by the competitors, the cost estimates, the estimates on the resources in the team, and a lot of things. So when that comes into the picture, how can I not go for a milestone, right? You need to have that as a dedicated phase that has to be completed, followed by the other phases. Like, see, for a few businesses, there would be a few processes that cannot run in parallel, right? So that has to be done in a sequence. In that case, you can always have a milestone in place and create task lists under them. So this is a newly created milestone scope and estimate. And now you can just draw an analogy between the work hierarchy you just witnessed in the slide with respect to the flow here. So this is the scope and estimate milestone. And when I open the milestone, I see a task list tab. So this is understood that it's a task list. And when I click this task list, in the estimation of specs and the resources, I've got these tasks. I'll have to assess the available resources for creating the ad. I'll have to create the text specs, and I'll also have to generate a talent report and submit it to the creative ad manager. So there are a lot of things that are involved. So this is how a task flows, right? From a project to the point of creating task, this is how it flows. So to create a milestone, get back, to the home page of the milestones module. So to land on milestones, you must have figured it by now. Click a project from the projects tab, get inside the project and land on the milestones module. So you can just go and add a milestone here. So give a name for your milestone and set the start and end dates for it, and assign an owner for your milestone. So this is the person who will be responsible. So all the project users will be listed here, right? And you can also set a relevant flag here. So only the external milestones will be visible to the clients. The internal ones will not be visible. And since this project is based on milestone budget, the field appears here. Otherwise, this is not going to show up. This project's budgeting is based on milestone. So say, for example, I just said 200, and this is going to be like, ad reports, June 2020. So this could be a new milestone. And again, I have a few tags already created. So this is related to report, this is related to ads. So I just, map whatever tags I remember. So I just create my milestone here. So this is how you'll have to create a milestone. So I think we're good to go with, so we just created the generate ad reports June 2020 milestone, right? So you can just click the three dots beside a milestone. We call this the ellipsis icon, or the three dots, to be very simple. And you can just go and modify, delete, or move it elsewhere. You can even complete it. So you can just manage the actions here. And if you want, you can also associate or remove blueprints. So like CRM projects also has task-based blueprints, incorporated. So if you want, maybe you can drop in an email to our support team. And if you're really interested to have a one-on-one demo about how task-based blueprints or the processes flow in projects, then we can help you achieve that, right? So this is how a milestone is created. And now relating back to the work hierarchy, it is time to learn about our new task lists. So we are right there. We are right in the next step to create the new task list. As I said, you can either create a task list from within a milestone, or navigate to the tasks module and create one. So I will first show you how to create it from within this milestone, and then maybe we'll quickly navigate to the tasks module and learn about it. All right. So here you can just give a new task list name. So for example, see to-dos for the month. So is the task list. And again, this is like, it's a new tag. I did not create it earlier. So I'm just doing this, and I can add a task list. Otherwise, I can as well. So this is like when I enter a name, it means that I'm creating a task list from scratch. But you would be surprised, Kritika, we have a few options below the text field. So what are they? So we give you provisions to associate an existing task list, because it's not always necessary for you to create new ones every time when you go for a new milestone, right? So it is not always necessary for you to recreate the things that you've already created. And when it comes to maintaining a checklist or a to-do list in terms of a task list for that matter, and if you're serving and if your business nature of business is going to be consistent throughout the year, then most of the task lists will sound or look similar, functionally or literally in the tool for that matter. In that case, uh, you need not have to create one from scratch. You can just associate an existing task list in this. And I do not have all the task lists are mapped to the milestones here, so this is not letting me do one. Instead, if I want, I can just choose a task list from a task list template. Like how we have templates for projects, we have templates for task lists as well. So this is the provision where you can just go and choose a relevant task list, for your module. Otherwise, if you're cool about creating one from scratch, toggle back to this view and just go and create your first task list. So this is how you'll have to create a task list. So this is one way of creating it. As I said, we always have 2 or 3 ways to help you save clicks. That's because, again, there is a hint here. So this is the task list that's created from within a milestone. Instead, how about creating one directly from the tasks module? So you'll have to navigate to the tasks module, and it's right there. Add a task list. So does this ring a bell somewhere? So you'd be surprised, then why do I have to come to the tasks module to create a task list? And why is an add task list provision given under a milestone? This also explains another fact that it is not mandatory to create a milestone in this application, because we understand that every project is unique in its own nature. So it's not always necessary to go for a milestone and then a task list and then a task. So what is really mandatory in projects is you'll have to create a task, and by default, every task that's created will be mapped to a default task list called general. So it is even not mandatory to go for a specific task list in place. So all you need in Zoho projects is create a task. And that is why it is going to be the showstopper of today's workshop. That is, we have reserved the best for the last for the day. So it is revolving around task management. So this is where you have to create a new task list when you navigate from the tasks module. So everything is the same except that you have the provision to relate a milestone, right? So if at all you choose to map an existing milestone to the task list that you're creating from the tasks module, you can just go with that. The UI is the same, and you can choose to have a task list flag as well. And as I said, if something is external, only the clients can see. And if it is internal, the clients will not be able to see. It is visible only to the project users. And again, add or tag, and we have done enough on tags, so I'm just not going to repeat about that. So this is how you can create. These are the 2 ways where you can go and create a task list. So this is where you manage all your task lists, in the classic view, right? So these are the 3 default views in any tasks module that you take in Zoho projects. So the classic view is the most recommended view in projects, because we give you the complete hierarchy of a specific task. So the font or the letters emboldened in black is the name of the task list. We just created one called the to-dos for the month. So that is the task list. And that is falling under the milestone generate add reports, which is in green. So we have given visual indicators. We have highlighted the different entities in different colors so that you can easily go and differentiate them from this classic view. So then you might wonder, why is there an emphasis on the word classic view for that matter? That's because what you see in classic, it's not going to be the same in the plain view, right? So it will be really plain. right? You do not get to see any hierarchies in place. You do not get to see. So these are just the tasks created as part of different task lists. And but we have saved a lot of space and accommodated a lot of tasks as records. So if you're someone who wishes to work just on the tasks, and for that moment you're not really bothered about to which task list it belongs to or to which milestone it belongs to, you can always hop on to this plain view and manage your tasks here. So these are the created tasks. So the classic view has the complete hierarchy. So if at all you'll have to do some, actions with respect to, for example, say close a task list. So hover over and wait for this. You need not have to literally wait. The moment you hover over, you're going to get the gear icon there. So this is where you manage a task list. So you can just go and do some modifications to it or copy it or convert the task list into a template right here. You can use this option to convert a task list into a template. Because see, we have heard from customers in many cases where they had worked on 1,000+ tasks in their project. And say, for example, one specific task list can also have like 40 to 50+ different tasks. And it is definitely not possible for them, or rather, they do not have the time in the future for sure to recreate the same set of task lists with the tasks from scratch. In such cases, you can use the make a template option to get that done, right? So now it is time to create your first task. So we have completed, up to uh, uh, the last but one phase of today's workshop. So this is where you go and add your first task, right? So like how you needed only the project's name as a mandatory field to create a project. So this is the place where you just need the task's name. So we do not enforce you to fill in any other fields. So a task can just stay unscheduled without any owner and just sit in your project. For example, say I'm just creating a task like generate time log report, right? So I'm just June 18, 2020. So this is my task, and I just add this to this project Nexus 1.0. It's there, right? So this once a task is created, it is just going to open the details for you where you can just go and assign it to a specific user or fill in the work hours or the start and end date, right? So these are the attributes of a task. So all you need is just the task's name, and then you can figure out what can be done, right? So set the status of the task here, select the user who can take this up, right? So I just assign it to a resource who can do it. And when I select a name, the task is updated automatically. You just saw the success prompt there. And you can also set the work hours. We learned this in the settings, right? So you can just set the work hours for this specific resource, in this field. And you can also set the start and end dates for the task here, set the priority here. So the higher the priority, the faster it is expected from the resource to roll out the task, right, to complete it. So that is the meaning. So based on your need, you can just set a priority. Set a duration for the task. Like, for example, if you're not really sure about the start or the end dates, so you can just set that as, like, for example, say this is going to take 19 days. Just go with the duration of the task. And this is the completion percentage. So the user hasn't started working on it yet, so it is going to be 0. Add relevant tasks. And the other two important fields that you'll have to have in mind when it comes to task is setting a reminder for it and a recurrence. So reminder is nothing but getting a notification about the task, right? It's pretty much like the alarm you set every day, right? So you cannot really snooze the task in Zoho projects like we snooze the alarms every day. So it is going to really come even if you want to snooze it. It's going to be like, Kritika, you have a task on your plate today, finish it. Again, the next day, Kritika, you have it today, again, finish it until I roll that out in the project. So again, so you can just go and figure out what you'll have to do with the reminders here. So you can just set a reminder. Because I did not set a due date in this setting, it's disabled here. So I'll have to set a start and an end date here for me to, uh, uh, set the reminder properly. So I'll just set the due date to, like, say 20, and then this is going to enable the based on due date setting in the reminder. So set the frequency of the notification that you'll have to get, and you're done. So if you do not want the reminder to happen in a specific frequency, you can also set a specific date and notify the users. So it's enough for you if, for example, say you have a meeting and you've created a meeting as a task. So it is enough if you just, set a specific date as the reminder. Even otherwise, people will forget, right? The meeting reminders work only on the exact day of the meeting. And recurrence is about repetition. So when a task recurs, it means we help you replicate the task automatically. That is the meaning of recurrence. That's it. So it's no complex work there. So you will have to just set the recurring frequency here. So for example, say there could be events like doing a security audit every month. For example, say every third Wednesday of a month has a scheduled security audit, or a scheduled code review happening in place, or a scheduled ad briefing session that is going to happen every Thursday of a week. In that case, your recurring frequency can be weekly, and you can just handle the rest of your recurrence. So you need not have to create the same ad briefing task over and over again in your calendar. So we do that for you. You just tell us, how to schedule it and place it on your calendar. So these are the options that you'll have to have in mind when you create your first task, right?
So today's, I'm just going to give a quick recap on today's session. So the first one, we spoke about portal configuration, profile configuration, milestones, projects, and how to create tasks. I hope you guys found this pretty useful. Please, if you have any questions, please pop it in our chat box. We have experts who've been, Anu's been trying to answer everyone. Before jumping into the end of the session, we just have a quick poll here. So just to have a good understanding. So which of the following will interest you to have a session on? Like, would you like to have a Zoho projects that is integration with accounting tool, or Zoho projects and its integration with CRM? Great. I think 90% are more interested with integration with CRM. Probably there's a good fluctuating in the results. Great. So that we can plan our future workshops. Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us in the poll participation. So I just wanted to request you guys to please share your feedback while while exiting this session. This would help us to improve our further sessions, and we'll be conducting a few more interesting workshops as well on finance and people management, which will be running till the 16th of July. And if you have any questions, please also email us at support@zoho1.com. And as I said, you can register for our future workshops. John will be sharing those links as well. Make sure you register by today. Not just that, we also have, we conduct this e-commerce experts and so that you can get a hands-on training on how to build your own e-commerce store. So in this workshop, we will be providing you a starter kit with sample product images, banners, and content. They can use this, to build a build store in online, during this workshop. And we also provide Zoho Relief COVID-free license program, where we've been offering the ESAP. And not just that, Zoho will also help you to build a free low-code application development platform by using Zoho Creator. And we have this product called Zoho Remotely, which is free till the 1st of September 2020. And I thank you very much, each and every one of you, for joining us this session today. And I hope I will see you next week as well. Please make sure you stay safe, stay healthy. Take care.